This has a huge impact on the Phoenix Suns as they have been dominant with Bradley Beal's ascension in this lineup, not only offensively but defensively, as he has been a key difference maker for this Suns team in its success, as it has come out to a fantastic start so far on season tip-off. So we're going to be diving in and looking at how impactful Bradley Beal has truly been for this Suns team, and if some other X factors have also aided in that effect. Welcome back to Suns Digest. I'm Bruce Velez. You guys have been absolutely fantastic at showing your love and support on the channel. CJ and I are really, really appreciative. So if you want us, make sure you stay still in that Suns algorithm. Keep hitting that like button and let us know down in the comment section what your overall thoughts are on the Suns so far at the beginning of the season. But without further ado, let's dive into the topic at hand. Make sure to grab a snack. And the first thing we're going to be discussing is there's something to look at. And this is a little bit different than the Bradley Beal discussion, as we're going to be looking at something that is announced for the game today and something that Suns fans might want to keep an eye on when looking for Bradley Beal's emergence in tonight's game. But if we want to look at this tweet here from Dwayne Rankin, we can see that Ryan Dunn is listed as doubtful with an ankle injury for tonight's game versus the Dallas Mavericks, but he's showing some good movement in a workout after shoot-around. It's been mostly shooting, but it also consists of some moving. And if you want to look at the clip, go check it out on Dwayne's Twitter. But Ryan Dunn is listed as doubtful for tonight's game, and that is key, as the Mavericks are obviously a top-tier team in the West, a team that the Suns have had some beef with in the past. But not only just that, they have some dominant scorers, and Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, and Klay Thompson. So having your best defender in Ryan Dunn would have been necessary to limit, to hinder some of those explosive guards. So going into this contest, if Dunn is not going to be starting, if Dunn is not going to be playing, it is going to be a little bit of a setback for the Suns. But the Suns ultimately we'll have to use other players, like I said, Royce O'Neal, Grayson Allen, Bradley Beal, to really step up that defensive and offensive side that Ryan Dunn does bring to this team to really take over versus this Mavs team. And I truly believe that the players can do that, and I'm very, very confident in this Suns squad that going into tonight's contest without Ryan Dunn, with Ryan Dunn, they'll be able to get it done. Now, Ryan Dunn has not been officially listed as of this recording, so he could still suit up for the Suns tonight, and this could just be nonsense. But if he does not suit up, as he's listed as doubtful, which I think the Suns will prioritize as they want to keep their young rookie out of injury history and injury problems, they will sit him out tonight and will play with that risk. And I think, like I said, players like Beal, Durant, and even Royce O'Neal are going to have to step up on that defensive side, and we're going to have to see that come to life tonight. So let me know what you think about Ryan Dunn's emergence so far with the Phoenix Suns, with this team, and what you think this injury could mean. Do you think it's going to be a long-term injury? Do you think it's just a short-term injury? How do you guys feel? Ultimately, I don't think it's going to be a long-term deal. I think it'll just be something to keep an eye on, something to nurse, something to nurture for the next couple of days, and I think we'll see Ryan Dunn back on the court by the end of this week, or by the start of next week, if not the end of this week. But let me know what you guys think down below. But let's get into the meat and the bones of the video today, ladies and gentlemen. Let's dive in to he's breaking out, as Bradley Beal, ladies and gentlemen, has been really showcasing his skills and taking over for this Suns squad. And that's what we said had to be one of those implications. We all know that this Suns team last season had some holes in it, even though it was constructed to be dominant. Having 3 stars with some veteran minimum players, there was no key players off the bench that could really step up and deliver roles. And with the Suns this season, they went out and they changed that. They went out and brought Mason Plumlee in as that backup big. They went out and addressed the point guard situation, bringing in Tyus Jones and bringing in Monte Morris to alleviate those playmaking duties for Bradley Beal, for Devin Booker, so they could go back to their scoring and their spacing and what they do best to win games. And that has been some key changes. Also adding head coach Mike Budenholzer to unlock this team offensively, similarly, differently to what Frank Vogel did last season, has clearly showed some changes for the Suns, as they are obviously a top team in the Western Conference with only 1 loss on the season, coming to the Los Angeles Lakers after they were beating them by 20 points in that contest. But Bradley Beal has been one of those main focal points, main agendas for Suns fans to kind of keep an eye on, because he's making $50 million. He was injured last season. He didn't have his most productive season last season, and he has a no-trade clause. So Suns fans who are strapped in the second apron, Suns fans who had seen them compete for championship after championship but not bring anything home, wanted to see some sort of change with Bradley Beal, either him staying healthy and getting back to himself or seeing some impact on the defensive side. And I can tell you right now that Bradley Beal has made those changes and is going to be a dynamic player for this Suns team leading up to this season and has clearly shown that so far since the start. So let's dive in and let's look at this. First off, I want to show you guys this article that I did pull everything from so you guys can get it from Basketball Poetry, where they did an article breaking down Bradley Beal as the best defense of his life, and the numbers prove it. So I said shout out to Basketball Poetry, and Suns fans, if you're watching this video, if you have Twitter, go check out Basketball Poetry. Go check out this article, as there's so much more in depth talking about Royce O'Neal, talking about other Suns defenders that I did not cover. I just went on the Bradley Beal stuff, but it has been key in how Bradley Beal has shown his insertion into this Suns team with Mike Budenholzer and how those changes have been key for the Suns development. But let's dive in and let's look at this article, guys. Let's dive in and let's look at Bradley Beal's defensive EPM percentile. And as you can see, it has kind of gone up and down through his career, which is a little bit shaky, where it's gone up toward the latter part of his career where he's been on some better teams, where in Washington, the defense or playing with some of those opponents wasn't the best. And what we can see from that, obviously, is that it doesn't really do that. Then when we look at his career DAREO versus DPM progression, it obviously looks a little wonky as well. And that just goes to show you that if you're not into the alphabet soups, Brad's newfound defense has turned him into a more easily digestible ways too. Beal's averaging the most steals and blocks of his career so far, which naturally means by his sports the highest defensive box plus minus of his life by a mile. Phoenix lineups with Bradley Beal only give up 113 points per 100 possessions, as well an above average mark. So with Beal being in this lineup and Beal playing with this team, he's playing better defense. And as we saw from the intro here, as we watched, we can see all these clips of Bradley Beal getting chased down blocks, helping out the Suns in transition defense. Bradley Beal in this clip right here, helping out playing some team defense to on Tyler Hero to not let him get an open shot. And then, like I said, another chase down block on Tyler Hero. Those are key things that we have yet to see with Bradley Beal really inserted into this Suns team and kind of working with this Suns team. So seeing those improvements is beneficial for every Sun fan. And NBA players do not usually see a massive defensive upswing in their later years. Defensive is usually a young man's game, as they're a little bit quicker, they're a little bit faster, and as you get older, your defense usually gets worse. For Beal, it is the complete opposite, a little bit of a Benjamin Button kind of thing, which is a little bit weird. And that is what we have to look at. And a lot of it goes in with the new head coach of Mike Budenholzer, who's deployed him as the starter's point of attack defender, whereas his primary defensive matchups have included Tyrese Maxey, Anthony Simons, and LeBron James, where maybe LeBron James kind of guarded him a little bit more, but he has done fantastic in those defenses, where B-Ball Index says that Beal has had the toughest defensive assignments on any starter by a mile, and he's living up to those expectations by making great plays, and that is key. Now, also, Beal has been dealing with some injuries, as we all know. He's had a little bit of a sore shoulder, so he is going questionable into this game. But with him showing this emergence, not only on the offensive side, but on the defensive side, really making impactful plays, leading in steals, leading his career in blocks, helping out on team defense, making those smart plays is key, and it's just only going to not only grow his stock in Phoenix and for himself as a basketball player, but also is going to grow his opportunities in Phoenix as well. With Phoenix last season, a lot of fans, including myself, were kind of turned off on the trade for acquiring Bradley Beal. It was a little bit of a head scratcher. It was a little bit of a puzzling move, bringing in 3 offensive players. But with having this coach in Mike Budenholzer and truly unlocking them with point guard Tyus Jones, and even with Jusuf Nurkic, who I was bashing at the beginning of the season, really stepping up and delivering in these latter half of the games, it's been key for the Suns in their emergence and their ascension in the Western Conference and why they are atop of the West. Having players like Kevin Durant, who is showcasing that he can be that number 1 guy. Devin Booker being that number 2. Beal being that third scorer on the offensive side. That is going to be key. And there's going to be some nights where Beal's tasked to be that first scorer, second scorer, and he's going to have to deliver. And there's going to be nights where he does do that for the Suns, which is even better. Just the little marginal things that we're seeing with the Suns in general, with adding Mike Budenholzer, adding Tyus Jones, adding Monte Morris, but also adding players, but having Bradley Beal being healthy as well, not being injured, being able to play with this team has just made it so much easier. Leaving those playmaking duties, making him just prioritize being a scorer and being a secondary help defender has been huge for the Suns' emergence and why I think the Suns have been so beneficial. And obviously, Ryan Dunn, some of these marginal moves or minimal moves on the edges have also helped them. But I think one of the key X factors is Bradley Beal, and a lot of Suns fans, like myself including, have really started to appreciate Bradley Beal and what he can bring to this team, and are now seeing for what this Suns team truly can be in this Western Conference with its full stacked core. And even with some more moves possibly coming up in the later coming weeks at the trade deadline, if some teams are getting antsy, the Suns could even add stuff to make them even more of a bona fide threat, which I think is key. But let me know what you think down below in the comment section. How do you guys feel about Ryan Dunn and his injury? How do you feel about Bradley Beal and his stepping up on offense, but also on the defensive side as well? Let us know in the comment section. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. Shout out to Basketball Poetry once again. Go check them out on Twitter if you do not already, and go check out that article. I stress that. But without further ado, I'm signing off on Suns Digest. Have a great rest of your day, and go Phoenix Suns.